Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my Diablo 3 series. And this week I am doing basically the final chapter in Act 1, the Imprisoned Angel. There is technically one more quote-unquote chapter in Act 1 called basically Return of the New Tristram. However, there really isn't much action as much as you return to New Tristram, you talk to Tyrael, and then you basically launch into Act 2. And so all of 2 minutes worth. Wouldn't really make for a full video, so I basically tacked most of that onto the end of this video.
Rumors swirl that the Crusaders have returned, and that they mean to go to the west. But who are these tall, blonde warriors? They look nothing like the Crusaders who set out from Travincal 200 years ago. Those who inhabit the ruins of that ancient city.
Alright, so we have a little bit more lore about the Crusaders, and back into the fighting. So basically we've got several levels of basically the Halls of Agony to get through. So right now we're in the Halls of Agony level 1, and we're looking for the entrance to the Halls of Agony level 2. And because there's just so much going on with this chapter, I opted not to do my standard let's go explore everything that I usually do, and I'm basically trying to get to the entrance as quickly as possible. So there's a whole bunch of areas that I end up ultimately not exploring, and entirely possible some elites, monsters and things that I'm missing because of that. But as you can see here, even with editing, episode is still over 25 minutes long. So this is a long chapter with a lot going on. So first off, we've got this level to go through. We've got we know that we've got Halls of Agony level 2 to go through. There is a fairly sizable boss at near the end before we find and rescue the stranger. So that's basically what we're going to be doing here. And also there will be a cute little, not cute's the wrong word, there'll be an interesting cutscene near the end as well after we rescue Tyrael. So, or sorry, the stranger. We're not supposed to know who he is yet. Although I'm sure most people who are watching this, know the lore and the story and everything at this point. Somehow I doubt it's a spoiler. But sorry if I just spoiled the storyline for people who are just watching this for the first time and are not familiar with the storyline. And I'll talk more about all that probably in the next episode next week. Alright, so I run into a dead end there. This is these Halls of Agony are pretty gruesome, if you pay any attention whatsoever. Oh, yay, got a nice level up there as well. Up to level 16. And we've got some moves to fight as well. But you'll notice all sorts of gruesome torture devices scattered throughout this level. So if you pay any attention whatsoever, you can note things like, there's a torture device that we just passed back there with a body being stretched on it, or was being stretched on it at one point, and these rotating torture devices with skeletons still hanging off of them. Pretty gruesome. Pretty gruesome area. And this is all underneath Leoric's castle, so it's like, what the heck was he up to? Well, I mean, the man supposedly went insane slowly over time. He was supposedly fighting possession of Diablo, who ultimately ended up taking possession of his son instead. But it makes me wonder, like, was Leoric even aware of all of these torture things? Did he condone this before he went mad, or after he went mad? Was this mostly devised by his advisor, who was, you know, actually a servant of Diablo to begin with. So there's lots of questions there that I have, and I don't know if we ultimately end up getting more lore about that or not. I haven't actually sought the lore out specifically, but yeah, those are some of the questions I definitely have about some of these gruesome areas, because it's like, really? Oh, here we go, level 2. So trying as quickly as we can, and of course there's lots of coven members throughout here as well. Humans and all that good stuff. Trying to figure out, you know, one, we're trying to find the stranger in the first place, and you know, what the heck is Malta up to, and the coven things, and who is their, you know, who are they really serving? I think we've got a hint already that that Magda is serving Belial, who's one of the 7 lords of hell. So, you know, I think that's definitely going to come into play later on in the storyline, if we're not already familiar with that. But yeah, things start getting really interesting. We've only scratched the surface of what's really going on with this whole storyline. These guys, we will keep a little bit more on Crusaders.
I recently met a returning Crusader. Now I understand. Each Crusader took an apprentice. When a Crusader fled, his apprentice would take up his armor, his place in the order, and even his very name. When the first generation of Crusaders fell, their own apprentices took up their identities. So it has continued. 200 years.
Alright, so that's a little bit more Crusaders. For those of you who have only first found my videos with this particular edition, I am playing Crusader. Well, that should be clear just from the title of my videos, is that I'm playing the Crusader, which is the newest class in Diablo 3 since the last expansion, which was Reaper of Souls. Reaper of Souls is basically Chapter 5. It's the newest chapter that's been added to the storyline. And I have confirmed that they have changed the way leveling in this game happens. And it's, you know, it's so much better now than when Diablo 3 first came out. And not Diablo 3 when it first came out. I mean, it's been a very fun game, and I've enjoyed it, you know, all along the way. But with the way they did leveling to begin with, it basically, in order to get to the more difficult, the higher difficulties and things in the game, you basically had to keep playing the game through over and over and over again. And now you don't have to. You can start figuring out the highest difficulty that you want to. And I'm playing at normal difficulty. I don't have to. I could have chosen a higher difficulty, and I just chose to make it just normal difficulty, primarily for, you know, this is a walkthrough, this is showing you the game, this is showing you how the game progresses and everything, without, you know, me having to deal with dying and replaying and dying and replaying constantly if I've chosen the higher levels. And if you're hearing jingles in the background, one of our dogs had an itch. I cannot always control my environment as I'm recording.
I am Asilla, once queen to our beloved Leoric. My servants and I were consumed by his madness. Now I give you my blessing, champion, to release my people from their eternal torment.
Alright, so I kept that audio in the game, that dialogue in the game, because I thought that was interesting. You know, that we're actually meeting King Leoric's queen, and she's floating around with a ghost with her, carrying her head in her hands. And she has our blessing to come into this area. This is the Curse of Hold. which will lead us eventually to the third level of the Halls of Agony. So we kind of had to go outside and come through here, and then we'll find the third level of the Halls of Agony from here. But first we have to go through this area, and this is basically yet another dungeon with lots of prisons, and there are a number of followers who supported the Queen. And I dropped the fleas with all of that. Sorry about that. But yeah, all of the supporters, people who supported her, despite her being framed for whatever treason against the king, and they were all sentenced down here as well. Door. And so we're basically looking for them. You can see they're basically these sparkling skeletons with ghosts circling around them. And we basically we break them out and we click on them and we free them, which is a favor to the queen, because basically she was innocent, and the fact that she was framed for that she was trying to help the king come to his senses, which is obviously not what his advisor wanted, and his advisor made sure that she had her head chopped off to get her out of the way. So hardly a surprise there. So yep, there's another one. So we're gonna help the queen out by helping her free the remains of her supporters. Poor people. There we go. Because they're basically trapped in this jail, well after their probably torturous deaths. And of course there's plenty of skeletal guards and everything else throughout here. And we'll have a mini boss fight here coming up with basically the warden of this jail. He's basically a giant skeletal warrior. And he's definitely one of the tougher fights that we'll have had up until this point. Not on normal mode. Normal mode he's a pretty easy fight, but for the higher levels of difficulty, definitely it's a lot easier to run through a lot of this stuff with friends, with backup and that kind of thing. In normal mode, this is all very, very soloable. And I think at the second difficulty level, things are soloable as a challenge. Then as you get higher and higher up, I think definitely it becomes more difficult to do it solo, and gets easier to do as a group instead. I mean, some people, I'm sure there are very skilled players who can solo everything, including the I'm trying to think, the hardcore level, which is, in my opinion, is probably very difficult, because basically you don't beginning with that character, and whether let's repeat until you can play through it. I could never play hardcore. I can say that for certain. I'm definitely a softcore player in one way or the other. Do not ask me to ever play hardcore in any game. I'll never be that hardcore. But I do really well at normal level. I love this. I don't die. I hardly ever die. And boom, yet another level up. Yay! And because this is such a long slog as it is anyway, I kind of edit out a lot of my playing around with my stats and stuff after I level, where I have new abilities and that kind of thing, and I pick up some new equipment and things like that. And you may or may not notice things on her costume changing over time without me actually, changing them as far as you can tell. And that's just because I'm just editing that stuff out. I think that can be interesting, and I've included some of that in the past. And I'll leave it in if I have a short enough episode to begin with it in. But if I have a really long episode, I'm cutting that stuff out just because I'm pretty sure a lot of folks have stopped watching already as it is anyway, because I'm past the halfway point. But and I have statistics on the videos and stuff, so anyone who's still watching, hey, thanks! Alright, so we've already just gotten the message to kill the warden. We've freed all of the team supporters, but the sequence doesn't start until we actually hit the right area where the warden will appear. So I was like, alright, I'll kill some of these guys first. And it isn't until we actually approach the spot where the warden appears, it's blinking there in the center. So we basically need to enter where that blinking circle is, and then it'll start the sequence where the warden appears and stuff, so there we go. So now we're just gonna wait for him to show up. And he's ranting about, do I have to do everything myself? Fine. So there he is, there's the warden. And he's actually a pretty easy kill for the boss. Mini boss, but still, he's a pretty easy kill. Alright, so we completed that quest. And we get some gold, we get some XP. Not too shabby. And now we've got to do search for the Chamber of Suffering. So first we gotta go over here, and then we gotta go over here, and there's gonna be more dudes to fight. And then we'll actually get a little bit of a lore sequence, as it were. Not just a book being read. Yeah, here we go. Let's start going inside this building over here, or this room.
My lord, the prisoner is ready, as you requested.
Thank you, Lazarus. Your loyalty is invaluable in the midst of all these traitors. And you, my dear, my own wife and queen, conspiring against our kingdom.
My love, I swear, I have never betrayed you.
Lies. Till the very end.
A grim end to a noble woman. I am proud to have played my part in Leoric's fall.
The time of my lord's true awakening is at hand. That fool Leoric was only able to resist him because he did not yet possess his full power. With the queen dispatched as a traitor, I may now devote myself fully to preparing the boy for the presence of my master.
Alright, so we can see that Lazarus was pretty much a real horrible person. That's probably why Diablo chose him as a minion to begin with. But yeah, making sure that the king executed his wife, and just all sorts of awful stuff. So as you can see here, we are now in the Halls of Agony level 3. And then that leads us to the Chamber of Suffering, which we're searching for. So we're trying to find that. And we're also covering people with spells that we need to try and get them to stop casting things as well. But we're getting through here. Once we hit the Chamber of Suffering, then we'll be facing basically the boss that's at the end of this act. He's kind of like the final act boss. So he's kind of the big boss at the end of this act. And it's one of the hardest fights in this chapter. So each chapter ends with a big boss fight. And for those of you who might have played classic Diablo, we actually get a return of the big boss at this end of this chapter is a return of a boss from classic Diablo, obviously completely reimagined from his classic Diablo 1 days. And I might as well mention the name of the boss now is called the Butcher. So for anyone who recalls the Butcher from classic Diablo, you'll see his completely reimagined and redesigned version from classic Diablo had him as. Obviously everything's been upgraded since those days. Much more detail, much more, I don't know if I would say realistic, but definitely everything has a lot more details and things, and a lot less 8-bit pixelated. Alright, so we've got some more group beasts going on, trio. Trying to stay off of that rotating fire floor there, because that fire will actually cause damage if you stand on it for too long. So obviously at normal level it's not as dangerous, but still you don't want to, overdo it. Definitely, because it will cause damage. But obviously at normal level, not as much damage as it otherwise would. Alright, so hopefully we'll find a way towards the Chain of Suffering soon. Should be coming up fairly quickly at this point. Just trying to find it. There's just a lot of places to poke through these caverns and everything as you're kind of going through this game. So. Anywho, oh, there we are, finally. Alright, so I'm going to put those guys out of the way, and then we can get into the Suffering. And then there's the big boss fight with the Butcher. Alright, here we go. Cutscene first, I guess. Yep, there's Magda again. Basically boasting things about how we're going to die a painful slow death. And we're not going to, get much in the way of progress because we're going to meet the Butcher. So there you go. For anyone who's a classic Diablo fan, that's the reimagined Butcher from classic Diablo 1. And obviously, again, this will be a fairly easy fight at my level. With this particular boss fight, one, he's got these hooks that he can grab you and pull you in with. So you gotta watch out for those. The floor will start to glow and then will burst into flames. So anytime it starts to glow like that, you want to avoid it. You get a little bit of a warning ahead of time. There's 2 health wells in here, so at the higher levels of difficulty, you will need them. Trust me on that. You will definitely be using them along with your own potions and that kind of stuff as well. Definitely not an easy fight, definitely a longer fight, especially at the higher levels. It takes a bit of time to take him down. You want to kite him away from the flaming floors as much as possible, but like I said, as you can see, he will pull you in with his meat hooks, and you definitely want to try and get out of the way of these flaming floors and everything. Alright, so finally got him down. Again, as you can see, even at normal level, it's a long fight. And everything, but there we go. We got a whole bunch of nice yellow items, new equipment and everything, and now we get to go and find the stranger. So we're finally coming to a conclusion here, and here you can see on these very narrow stairs that drop off into nothing. There's a long streak of blood, so it's the suggestion that the stranger was tortured previously and then dragged down here. And this is just the trail of blood from his body. And so you can see that he's being suspended in midair by the coven. And so we're basically having to come in and try and rescue him. Like, I don't know, you guys. I'm trying to take each one of these coven members out so that we can drop the stranger. And now he's just kind of lying there saying, "I'm dying." And so we have to give him his sword. And hope that the sword restores his memory of who and what he was. And yep, here we go. Now we're like, yes, the Archangel of the High Heavens. And there should be a cutscene coming up here very, very shortly, which I will not talk over.
You have restored my mind, friend, and now I remember the warning I came.
But yep, so we're
and Asmodan, the last
yep. So
lords of
basically,
hell,
he came to warn us about Belial and Asmodan, the last two lords of hell that are still loose and not stuck in the Black Soulstone. And basically, we're tasked to go to Kelvium. Okay, we have to go back to New Tristram. So we'll kind of do that, and that's basically we're at this point. We're at the final chapter of Act 5, Return to New Tristram. It's like, okay, fine, but as you can see here, there's not a lot going on.
Time grows short, my friends. Even now, Belial's influence is
And
spreading.
all we've got here is
How will we find him?
We won't have to. Magda and her coven will lead us straight
yep.
to
So basically, we're being
I'm not
tasked to
going
go
anywhere until Uncle Decker's been
to
laid to rest.
take a caravan to basically the next chapter and everything. So yeah, so the cutscene actually isn't going to be until next week. Sorry about that. I meant to mention that. Well, thanks for watching this week, and please like, share, subscribe, and take care. Until next week. Bye-bye.